Hello and welcome back to Apple Tree Allotment. My name's John and we're down here at our 2 allotment plots. I'm down on a Monday morning this week, bright and early. It's just before 7 a.m. I've come down to do a few jobs today, so I've come down before it gets hot. It's been 23 degrees Celsius the last few days. It's going to be today later on. So I wanted to come down here and get jobs done before that it heats up. But it is going to be quite a nice day, I think. It's quite a little bit foggy on the way down over the fields, but it's still fairly cool, so that's nice to work in. I've got a bit of tidying up to do. Got some of the old lettuce to pull out. I think that's well and truly done now. Harvesting to do, hopefully some courgettes, some chard, beans. Yeah, we'll see what else we can find. But I haven't been down here for a week, I don't think. We've had a busy week. Been to a wedding, been out rock climbing and all sorts of things. So yeah, busy week. So it's good to get down here. Obviously some of the courgettes have got massive, as I was worrying about. But yeah, we've got courgettes coming out of our ears still at home. So yeah, plenty of that to go round. But all in all, it's looking really good down here. Lots of more growth this week. We've got our leeks are doing really well, so they're now starting to spread all over the plot as other things come out. But one of the big things I need to do is take out all of this lettuce that's gone to seed. There's probably a few actually. I can see a few in there that are actually okay still, but I might take out some of the big ones. And I'll gradually spread the leeks back to the end of this bed. I'll pull them up and rehome them, just give them a bit more space to grow. Over here, so we've got two butternut squash plants down here. They're way smaller than the ones on the rest of the plot. I think the soil at this end of this bed is not great, so I'll work on that this winter. I'll put a load of our composted manure in there, but for now they're not growing away massively, but we've got other plants, so that's okay. But the courgettes at the other end have done really well. We've got some massive courgettes on here this week because I haven't been down in the week. They're huge, but there are some good ones as well. There's lots of good ones on this plant. So yep, Anna's going to kill me when I come home with a huge bag of courgettes to add to the huge box of courgettes in the fridge. We're starting to run out of room in the freezer as well. We've got so many frozen, but it's good to see us through the winter with fresh veg. But yeah, next beds are doing really well actually. So these have got 2 butternut squash plants in, and I've started seeing some nice fruit on these. They're starting to come out. There's some tiny ones down here, but I think I spotted some bigger ones in the middle. But more excitingly, there is sweet corn has appeared this week. So I've got some nice, looks like there's a couple on that plant. Nice one there, nice one over here. So there's at least 3 or 4 cobs growing on those, which is really nice, in amongst all the squash plants. And over this side has got 3 pumpkin plants in, so they're doing really well. I'm going to have to sort of wind this one down this way so it doesn't go all over the path and annoy everyone else. But yeah, I'll do that. There was a lot of potatoes in here as well. They're sort of dying back under there, so I might actually have a root around in there, see if I can get some of those out now the pumpkin plants got massive. The beans, so these ones I planted 3 weeks ago, I think, and they're doing really well. Lots of nice growth on those. I'm hoping we'll get some beans off these by the time we get into September, October. We'll see how the weather does, if it stays warm enough. And in these 2 beds, I think it was last week I sowed beans, so it wouldn't be up yet another week. I think I spot a little tiny bit of green coming up there. Yeah, there's a little one there. So yeah, they still look empty, but there's beans growing away there. Potatoes, these ones, I think they're the bread of Rudolph potatoes. They're starting to die back. The bed we've got at home of them as well is, and the other potatoes slowly starting to die back. Another few weeks till we start to harvest more of the main crops. But yeah, looking pretty good. Touch wood, haven't had too much blight this year. Haven't sort of seen many people moaning about that this year, so I think the weather's been okay for that. And the leeks I moved from over in the big bed over here. So I moved these 2-3 weeks ago. They're looking really good. They're all standing up nicely on their own. So they look like they've been happy. So I've got 2 beds there, and I've got another bed here that I transplanted last week, I think. Yep, so they look really good. So I think that will be successful. So loads of leeks over this winter. Over the other side, there's quite a few raspberries to pick, I think. I just forget to bring anything down to bring them home in actually, but we'll pick some of those. The kids' bed is one bed I do need to sort out. I need to pull out this lettuce, it's all gone to seed. And I need to put something in there, whether I fill it up with leeks, which is a possibility, or see if there's anything else I can do with it. More courgettes, I've got 2 more courgettes over here, and predictably they've got massive courgettes on them, and loads in there. But they've also got 3 pumpkin plants at the end here, which are doing well and starting to spread out. Our beans, they look like they're slowing down slightly. There's not as many beans to pick this week, but it's quite hard to see in all the foliage, so I'll have a good dig around in there and see if I can harvest some more beans. They've been doing really well. We've been taking home sort of a handful twice a week, so yeah, we've been having quite a few good meals out of those. Rhubarb's doing well. It looks like I could probably pick some rhubarb actually, although we do have quite a lot at home still that we picked. The flowers look good. The kids' flowers they sowed look really nice. I really like those flowers down here. They're lots of colour, so I might remember what they were and sow a bed of those next year. The butternut squash over here is looking really good. I think it was 4 plants in this bed, and it's totally covered out that bed and coming out the edges, slowly working its way down the paths. So yeah, really pleased with that. And again, there was quite a few fruit on there I found. So yeah, they look like they're doing well this year. Chard, I'm going to cut off some more of the seed bits that are going to seed. But yeah, looking good. I'll take home a big bunch of that today. We've been eating that, but we've also been giving it away quite a lot. A lot of our friends have been having a bunch of it every week. So that's really nice to be able to share some of our produce. It's a really good cropper, that chard. And I've got 2 more beds of beans here. These ones, I haven't got any fences to go around these, so they are getting eaten by the rabbits, unfortunately. But there is a few beans on there I can harvest. Not a lot I can do about that this year, but hopefully next year, or in the winter when these beans are out, I've got more decking wood. I'm going to rebuild these beds with new posts and everything, so they're nice proper beds like the rest, and I'll leave posts up properly, and we'll get some netting to put around it permanently, really. And yeah, so we'll have another 2 better beds here. And then at the back, we've got there's a load of potatoes in here from saved seed, which have sort of got swamped by some weeds, but they're in there somewhere. But there's also 3 good pumpkin plants The one at the back there is really good. It's massive. So yeah, so I'm probably sort of gonna, I'll dig up the potatoes, at this end in another few weeks, and the ones at the other end, and then I'll just leave the pumpkins spreading out in here. There is a load of random tomato plants that have self-set as well. I can't see any actual tomatoes on them yet, but you never know. I'll just leave them there, they're fine. At home we've got 2 beds of tomato plants, and they're doing amazingly well. We're just starting to pick up from them, but there's a lot of green tomatoes on them, so hopefully with a bit of sunshine in the next week or so, we'll get a lot of tomatoes growing from them. And in the last bed I've got, so this did have potatoes in. This isn't a great bed, but just because it was empty, I did sow some lettuce in it. I did 2 rows of lettuce there and there, I think, which is looking okay. And I also sowed some more chard, although it looks like that's been eaten. That was coming up, so I think that might have been nibbled by the rabbits. There is a large field just here with a sort of nature set aside bit at the end, so there's quite a lot of rabbits in there, and they break through this fence quite easily. So yeah, so I think that's probably been eaten, and again, it hasn't got a fence around it. But yeah, I was just using up the space, really, keeping something in it. But hopefully that lettuce might grow. I can always transplant it somewhere else once I get some space. So yep, so I'll potter about and just do some harvesting and pull up some of those lettuce. But then the big job I was come down to do before it got too hot was our shed. So I finally managed to get some paint from B&Q. So it probably hasn't been painted for a good decade, I wouldn't imagine. It's pretty worn away, so I wanted to paint it before I sort out my water butts. So I've got some water butts around the other side, so I'm going to move them away today, paint it. I might need to come back and do another coat another day. We'll see how it looks, how quickly it dries. But yeah, so job today is to move the stuff, all the water butts. I might have to empty some of the water, but I'll just water the plot, which I haven't really done this summer, hardly at all, so I can do that. Yeah, and give it a first coat and see how far we get. I might be able to give it another coat today. And then the plan is, once it's all painted, I'm going to use those 2 blue pallets down here where that green water butt is, put them flat there as far back as I can, and then I'm going to put the IBC tank there on those 2. Hopefully that downpipe will go into them, and then I'll hopefully get a decent amount of water off that into the big tank. And then the other side I'll have 3 tanks that are just connected. There's just about enough room for those there, so that's good. And then hopefully that'll be all our water butts then, and get some decent amount of water. And then over the back, where the big tank is at the moment, so the big tank will go, I'll take it off of this sort of fruit cage, apple box thing, and then I've already got a compost heap behind there and one there. What I was going to do is have compost heaps along this part, along the back, and I might even move those tyres, get rid of those tyres, or move them one along. Ideally I want sort of at least 3 compost heaps, so I can fill them up, have one in use, have one sort of full of manure going for a year or more. Just some real sort of long-term storage, so I can really get as much manure as I can and let it rot down for a good year or 2 and really get well composted. And it'll also push back this space about 1 metre, so when I sort out the beds I can perhaps go back a little bit further, although that is it's pretty poor ground there because it's like right under some trees, so although it gets the morning light, it doesn't get the lighting the rest of the day, and it doesn't get any rain at all. So yeah, that's sort of the long-term plan. But one step at a time. I'll be doing the try and get the first bit of the shed done today. Yeah, so let's go and do some harvesting, clear some lettuce, and then I can get on with the shed. So I've had a good clear around the shed. I've moved all the water butts, watered some of the plot with some of it, and transferred some to another butt once I'd moved it, just so I can get them out the way. So yeah, both sides and around the back are clear now. I've taken the number off as well. Give it a good paint. So I bought some Kinsale matte shed and fence paint. It's a nice sort of greeny colour. So hopefully that'll look quite nice. Tucked away in the corner. Yeah, so just gonna crack on, give it a coat, and see how long that takes to dry really. And then I'll put back, so the 3 water butts there, I'll put them back in height order. So the tallest one's at the back. That's on a stand, the tallest one, so that'll go at the back, and then I'll put the next one on some bricks. And they can just connect in a series down that side. So hopefully they'll all fill up nicely over winter. So it's now nearly 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I came back down. I decided to leave it for a few hours to dry the first coat. It said to leave about 4 hours between coats of paint. So I went home and did some work, and yeah, come back when it's starting to cool down again. It is about 24, 25 degrees Celsius though, so it's pretty warm, although the sun is starting to go behind the big trees here, so that's quite nice. And actually it looks a lot better than I thought it was going to look when I left. The coverage isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It definitely needs another coat, but yeah, it's not looking too bad. Looking quite nice. So I'm going to give it another coat as much as I can with the paint. I've got about half the tin of paint left, so I should be able to get round again. Yeah, give it another good coat of paint. I finished putting the second coat of paint on the shed, and it's looking pretty good, I have to say. It's gone on a lot better than I thought when I first opened that paint. I thought I was going to be here forever, but it's actually done a decent job considering how long it's been painted. And I've just put back, for the moment, I've just put one water butt here and just some bits of pipe that I had, just to collect any water until I move the IBC tank. I just had to measure up, and there's loads of room there. It would probably actually fit 2 there, along the side of the shed, which is maybe something for the future. But yeah, if I get it right back against the fence, it will only come sort of halfway along the window. So yeah, hopefully that's all going to fit nicely. And then the other side, I've just put in the one that is going to go at the back there. So that's probably just going to stay there now. So that's brilliant. So that'll stay there, and then I'll put another 2 here and feed the water, loop the water in so they cascade down. But yeah, really pleased with that. Looks good. I've got the number to put back on the door, and yeah, other than that, it looks pretty good. I've still got about a quarter of the tin of paint left. Took a lot less on the second coat, so I'll leave it like this for a few days, and then next time I come down, I'll see what it looks like, see if it needs another coat. I've got the paint, so I don't mind giving it another go if it needs it. But yeah, pretty happy with it. So that's probably it for today. Just going to I took the courgettes and beans home earlier, much to Anna's disgust when I gave her a whole bag full of courgettes. But I'm going to grab some chard, a big handful of chard, and we'll give that to some people tomorrow and have some myself. I'm going to do a little bit of watering. But yeah, I think we're about there for the evening. Get home and get some tea. Pretty successful day, I think. Been wanting that for a very long time. Finally got that done. Looking forward to getting that tank moved next. Be nice. I just need to find someone willing to help me lift it. Yeah, hopefully that won't be too long now. I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit of a transformation on the plot this week, and getting outside, enjoying those harvests, and I look forward to talking to you soon.